Good morning, everybody. It gives me great honor to stand here in front of everybody today and talk about this very contentious issue. Once again, my name is Shannon Cush, and I'm a spokesperson with the Tipping Point Project in Whitecourt. The proposal to bring nuclear power to Alberta struck a worrisome chord with many residents of Whitecourt, and the Tipping Point Project was born. The Tipping Point Project is the voice of the people who wish to keep Alberta nuclear-free. Our mandate is to educate citizens on the risks and true costs of the nuclear industry and to tip the scales in favor of cleaner, greener, safer, sustainable energy alternatives. As people in our community are starting to learn about the enormous downside of the nuclear power, they are joining the ranks of those Albertans who are strongly opposed. The facts speak for themselves. Albertans are starting to see through the well-funded propaganda that is being spewed forth by Energy Alberta Corporation, Atomic Energy of Canada Limited, and Areva of France. That is why the mission of the Tipping Point Project is simply to get the facts out. Our neighbors are smart enough to figure this out for themselves. Many people within the major cities of Edmonton and Calgary believe that they would not be adversely affected in the event of a nuclear reactor accident occurring in Peace River or Whitecourt. Even the nuclear community admits that the radioactive fallout from Chernobyl was measured as far as Saskatoon. There are still many countries in the UK whose food supply is still too radioactive to eat due to the 1986 nuclear disaster of Chernobyl. Do we really want to take those risks? Today's technology may be somewhat different, but human error and mechanical failure are a daily reality in the nuclear industry. Are we willing to jeopardize our big industry and our international tourism, our health? Imagine for a moment if we were to have a radioactive leak. Our softwood and pulp industries in Whitecourt would die overnight. These big industries are the heart of our economy. We could kiss our international riverboat races goodbye. No one in their right minds would want to travel to Whitecourt, purchase our radioactive materials, or even live there. All it would take is human error, mechanical malfunction, or an anomaly of Mother Nature to turn the Peace country to the next Chernobyl of the West.
One too many.
We as a province are falling behind in the growing renewable energy market. Many nuclear proponents are telling us that there is no other option than nuclear and that renewables are pie in the sky. We don't have enough sun or wind, and that nuclear industry brings lots of jobs and money for all. This simply is not the case.
Can't eat money.
I want to take a look at Germany, who's one of several countries who has voted to phase out nuclear power. They have added 3,000 megawatts to the grid supply simply by instituting a feed-in tariff tax or law that pays owners of solar plants the equivalent of 80 cents Canadian for every kilowatt hour of solar power fed back into the grid. A 10,000 watt solar photovoltaic system in Berlin generates 848 kilowatts of electricity per year. The same system in Edmonton would generate 1,000 kilowatt hours. Exactly how many jobs would be created in the nuclear industry? Germany employs 250,000 people in the renewable energy sector and expects this number to double within 5 years. Unimaginable cost overruns, inability to satisfy safe operating procedures, and mechanical mishaps are legendary within the entire nuclear industry. 3/4 of Ontario's $20 billion debt load is a direct result of their so-called economical nuclear industry. The taxpayers are now picking up the tab. Ask them if they think nuclear power is cheap. We Albertans are proud of the fact that we are debt-free, and we want to keep it that way. We are being misled. We are being misled by the nuclear industry. We are being misled by our politicians. We are not practicing due diligence. We are allowing ourselves to be fooled. we violate our own integrity by not standing up for principled leadership and for what is morally right. A wise person once stated that silence and apathy debilitates our power as citizens to effect positive change. Our elected officials have openly invited nuclear proponents to our community. Prior to and during our municipal elections, some of our elected officials were reported as saying that the town of Whitecourt should indeed follow Dr. Gordon Edwards' advice about implementing Sweden's initiative to take a full year to educate ourselves on all of the facts associated with the nuclear industry. It is interesting to note that after a full year of this educational process, Sweden voted no to nuclear power. And yet, on October 31st of this year, the Mayor of Woodlands County, Jim Rennie, told us that they would likely be putting the community members of Whitecourt and surrounding area to a yea or nay nuclear vote. Just this weekend, the Calgary Herald stated that we may be looking at a vote as early as December. So, why now the big push for a vote when our elected officials have not followed through on their campaign promises to help uncover the full truth of this toxic industry? They realize that if they wait much longer, our residents will become educated enough to make the only obvious wise choice to say no to nuclear power. Why are most of our local politicians giving us every excuse in the book not to attend these very important information sessions that we grassroots citizens have taken upon ourselves to put on? Some of them have cited negative public perception as the reason. One might ask if an educational forum based on nuclear responsibility could even be perceived as something negative for any politician. In light of this political revelation, we must ask what questionable and non-transparent deals have already been made behind the backs of Albertans and Canadians. Why was the UN ambassador recently in Whitecourt spreading silken platitudes telling us that we are their friends, that friends share, that the US needs our natural resources, especially the uranium? Why is President George Bush trying to convince Canada to join the Global Nuclear Energy Partnership Program, to have us sell reactors, sell uranium, produce power, and assume all the risks, and in return, to take back the world's supply of toxic nuclear waste? What kind of a deal is that? Who pays? Who prospers? Why do proponents of the nuclear industry consistently refuse our invitations to publicly debate world-renowned critics, which we have procured at a cost to our own personal pocketbook, and then tell the media that it's us who refuse to debate them, supposedly due to the lack of any factual information? It is utterly ludicrous that nuclear proponents are asking to debate non-experts, such as one of our local farmers. Why aren't AECL and AREVA telling the general public that they are in fact planning on building 13 and 6 nuclear power plants, respectively? If the nuclear industry purports itself to be such an economic viability to an area, why aren't there dozens of communities desperately vying for the so-called incredible guinea pig opportunity to build an untried new can-do reactor technology? It is possible that the near appearance of a possible nuclear power reactor sale in Alberta would ensure future global sales for the dying nuclear industry. After all, there has not been a new license for a nuclear reactor in over a quarter of a century. Why build a nuclear power plant on the Peace River Arch, which is the most tectonically active area in all of Alberta? And the plant would sit right on top of an aquifer, solidifying yet another risk of contaminating the entire water supply of a very large area of pristine northern Alberta.
No nuclear!
Why do you think that your homeowner's insurance does not cover nuclear disasters? Why is AECL, a crown corporation, restructuring and privatizing? Even our own government is tired of assuming the financial risks associated with this dirty industry. Yet they have had to place a ridiculously low liability cap on the nuclear industry just to be able to entice outside investors. Are our governments merely trying to justify and protect their nuclear military existence by offering this industry to unsuspecting civilians? I think it's in our best interest to ask why Ontario, who derives just over half of its electricity from nuclear power generating stations, has some of the highest rates of leukemia and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the world. These are Ontario Care cancer statistics. And sadly, the nuclear industry denies any connection to these increased cancers to the nuclear industry. Alberta, these are some very important questions which require answers. Please understand that we all want to see economic growth for Whitecourt and for the rest of the country, but at what cost? Alberta has options and does not need to entertain the idea of nuclear industry. The nuclear industry is not clean, it is not green, it is not safe, and it is not economical. We are hopeful for our town and for Alberta. We are smart and we are innovative. We can continue to be the leaders in the energy field, but only if we jump off the nuclear bandwagon. Nuclear power will only serve to distract us from taking on leadership roles in the ever-expanding renewable sector. Once Albertans know the truth, they will say no to nuclear. Back in September, the Tipping Point project brought in Dr. Gordon Edwards, who is Canada's foremost nuclear expert and critic. This past weekend, we hosted Paul Gunter from Beyond Nuclear in Washington, D.C., who stands with us today in solidarity. Mr. Gunter is the lead spokesperson on nuclear reactor hazards and security issues, acting as the regulatory watchdog over the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission and the nuclear power industry. As no resident or elected official of Alberta are experts on the nuclear industry issues, we have much to learn from their 30-plus years of experience and knowledge that these individuals have, and we are grateful that they have chosen to share their knowledge with our community. We must listen to what they tell us. Pat McNamara comes to us on November 27th to Whitecourt with a community impact statement from his previous home of Hope, Ontario, where the nuclear industry has had tremendous adverse effects on their health, environment, and property values. Who better to ask than someone who has lived with the nuclear industry in their own backyard? Mr. McNamara has offered to spend a few days with us and to speak in private to anybody who wishes to do so. Let us Albertans learn from their knowledge and experience so that we don't jump into bed with an industry and catch something that we cannot get rid of. Let us all show commitment and responsibility for the future of our children by attending these important educational events and listening to what these experts have to say. The futures of our generations of children depend on it. Thank you.